After part four, which was very bright and MTV and stylized, and Freddie was all there, his sunglasses on the beach and, cracking jokes and all that stuff. They're like, we're going to go back to dark Freddie. On a visual standpoint, they did. But then at the same time, outside of the Dan bicycle kill, but then you have the superhero, Super Freddy, and Joe, kind of stupid and cheesy, silly.
Super Freddy! Told ya! Comic books was bad for ya!
What's your favorite scary movie? Swallow this.
John Fallon, Lance Vleck, Arrow and the Head Show, buddy. It's good to see you. A long time no see. Of course, that's a lie. I just saw you in Vegas, but here we are.
Here we are. By the way, guys and dolls, if you have not seen the video of Lancey Boy and I in Vegas going through the escape room / haunted house, check it out on the channel. It's right there. I had to shameless plug it. Today, I'm pretty pumped, actually, because we're going to talk about a movie that came from that experience. Because I don't know if you guys and dolls are aware, but in it, at a certain point, there is a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5 Dream Child poster. So when we went to the event, and it's, a makeshift kind of look like the movie, there was like, we were in a movie theater, and it was a poster of Nightmare on Elm Street 5 Dream Child. One of the greatest posters ever made, by the way, just as an aside.
Yes.
I turned to Lance. I'm like, brah, you bald prick. We got to cover it next time. So here we are.
Yes. Yeah, it was actually a good conversation because I was like, we haven't gone to the Freddy well in a while, and we actually have only covered, I want to say 3 movies. So this is not one of them, and I was down, man. But hey, real quick, before we get to it, we will be answering any emails and voicemails at the end of the video. So what's going to hover below me, guys, give us a call like always. We're always willing to chat, John and I. It's a fun part of the job. So
yeah, it's one of the perks of the job. So, give us a call, leave a voicemail, suggestions, comments, compliments, money.
A little money, guys.
Strippers, whatever you got. All right. Nightmare on Elm Street 5 Dream Child was, in my opinion, the beginning of the end of Freddy, in tandem with Freddy's Nightmares, his own TV show. So after the mammoth success of Dream Master, they kind of rushed job to get Dream Child out. I think it took 3 writers to write that thing. Stephen Hopkins shot it in 4 weeks, which is not a lot of time, by the way, for a big movie like that with a lot of effects. And then the post-production was also 4 weeks. The movie came out, and which I saw on the big screen, obviously the R-rated version, and it underperformed and was the beginning. What goes up must come down. Just like all my ex-dates. That's all I got, man. And that was the beginning of the end of Freddy. Even though the movie was a rush job, directed by Stephen Hopkins, who's done like a bunch of cool shit, actually. He's done Judgment Night, Predator 2.
Ghost in the Darkness.
Yeah, that's a fucking amazing movie. And Lost in Space, which is not a great Blown Away.
With an Irish Tommy Lee Jones? Come on, yeah. And Jeff Bridges. Give a little Blown Away, buddy. Come on.
It wasn't no Speed, bro.
It didn't need to be Speed.
Okay, fair enough. And of course, Lost in Space, which tanked, basically killed the guy's career. And it just goes to show, by the way, before we get into Dream Child, patience. It just goes to show how, I don't even know what the word is, heartless Hollywood is.
They have short memories, because the guy that gave you that much, even, and Lost in Space wasn't a terrible, I don't like it, but it was directed well. It just isn't like my kind of story. But that's all it took. It all took was just one big flop. And they're like, well, this guy can't do anything. It's like, what?
Yeah, no, it's really odd. I mean, there's an old saying in Hollywood, you're only as good as your last film. And I guess that means money. With that said, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5 is what got him the Predator 2 job. Because everybody was at the people, even though they're 2 different studios, the people at Fox were kind of floored, like, look at what this motherfucker did with so little time. Even though it's not one of my favorite Elm Streets, there's a lot to love here and a lot to respect, in my opinion.
I 100% agree. I've always said, and I'll say it every video we ever do about this, in terms of Robert Englund, there isn't a bad Freddy movie. And what I mean by that very specifically, not that like there's not bad parts, but unlike Halloween or even Friday the 13th, Freddy never really gets boring because even when he's not doing much, there's a visual style and creativity in terms of like what you do in these movies that I always respect. And this is a great example of like, there's not a lot of meat on the bone, but what you do with that meat in the pot is actually pretty cool. Gothic designs, interesting camera setups, whatever your imagination can come up with as a director with obviously little money and little time, have at it. I think this is a good representation of that.
I totally agree. And that's one of the reasons that I love the Elm Street franchise. I'm not counting the remake, by the way. That's in the fucking gutter.
No.
With my credit card bills. It's every movie is like an auteur piece. So every entry, you could feel the stamp of the director, you know, from Wes Craven, Jack Shoulder, Chuck Russell, Rennie Harlin, and Hopkins, and even Rachel Tallahaye.
Distinct.
They all bring their own flavor to it and their own style, and it feels very personal to me, as opposed to Friday the 13th, which is fairly pretty much the same shit, except for, you know, part 6, 7, 8, I guess, 9, I guess as well. Okay, well, whatever. But I feel Elm Street really captures the auteur. Yes, I'm doing it on purpose, sound pretentious. The auteur energy of filmmaking, and I respect that. Even the subpar ones, there's something to love.
I agree, but I think the factor in this I'd like to just throw out there is that Robert Shape seemed to have given some level of freedom that most other companies did not.
I agree.
So
I agree. That's called being smart. If you're going to hire an artist because you love his work, then let him do his work.
Let him work.
But Hollywood, what they do is they hire an artist because we love his work, and then we're going to be all up in their ass telling them what to do. So then it negates, you know, this is a Weinstein special. Part 5 has beautiful Gothic imagery, brilliant camera work. It tries to get its and eat it too. In the sense that you're not laughing, that's pretty funny.
I mean, it was just more of a statement.
Yeah, but it's pretty funny.
I
replaced cake with I mean,
finish the metaphor, and then I'll find out what's going on. Like, give me the example, and maybe I'll chuckle.
You see what I deal with. So after part 4, which was very bright and MTV and stylized, and Freddy was all there, his sunglasses on the beach, and you know, cracking jokes and all that stuff. They're like, we're gonna go back to Dark Freddy. On a visual standpoint, they did. But then at the same time, outside of the Dan bicycle kill, which was amazing, especially in the uncut version, which I learned is only available on the VHS that came out. Well, I still own the VHS, by the way. So that's the version I've seen the most time. And I watched the theatrical version recently, and it really doesn't give the movie justice. So I can't watch the theatrical version. So to go back to what I was saying, the bike kill was in the uncut version is really, really gruesome. Then you got the Greta kill, you know, where Freddy feeds her to herself, you know, bon appetit, bitch. It's fucking gruesome. But then you have the superhero, Super Freddy, and Joe, you know, kind of stupid and cheesy, silly. They had to condense the kill. But condense or not,
it's a bad kill.
It's still, you know, Freddy on a skateboard, you know, which is a parallel to Freddy with the power glove in, you know, part 6. And it's still, you know, Freddy becoming some muscle bound, you know, Super Freddy, you know, bullets, this, that. What the fuck's going on? This is not Freddy Krueger from Nightmare on Elm Street, the OG.
No, but
it's not Freddy Krueger being dark.
It's from 04, but it is a step in the direction from 04.
That's what I mean when they tried to get their pussy needed too.
Yeah, no, I agree, because they clearly wanted the movie to be dark, but Freddy from part 4 was so popular that they were like, well, we can't change that, but we'll just change everything around him. So it is a very weird juxtaposition of like kind of fun MTV-ish, you know, it's grown from that Freddy, but everything around it is almost Tim Burton, you know, like tall ceilings and like the dinner table scene with Greta, the wide angle lens and how people are dressed. That is, to me, out of like a acid trip of Tim Burton.
Yeah.
But
Or
then Freddy is
Even Gilliam.
yes,
He's doing close-ups and everything like that. Nothing. What is it that the mom says? Nothing for the best for Greta, and it's like a fucking extreme close-up on that chick's face.
Why? Yeah, like a real Gilliam, real fucking wide.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a weird thing where they tried to do two things at the same time, and in my useless opinion, they should have picked one.
Yeah, I think most people agree. I think that's why people seem to hate this more than I would feel comfortable with, because I think that's it. But at the same time, now that we've been, back for so long, I personally find this not nearly as bad as people say, because in the end, it's like, well, yeah, sure, but it has a cool visual style. The dreams are very cool. Even stuff like Yvonne jumping off the diving board as it goes in. Like, there's stuff in here that I think pushes it through. Like, yes, if I saw this live, like if you were upset, it'd make more sense. But I saw this out of order on VHS. So like, I'm like, oh, okay, it's good, not great. And then I move on. I think that helps in terms of like viewing these. I'm very soft on these, because I think they all bring something that's fun, even if they don't always land.
Hey, by the way, just as an FYI, did you notice the other It reference in Dream Child? At a certain point, I think it's Alice, Lisa Wilcox. She puts like this long thing in his mouth, and they do the same thing in It.
Oh, at the very end of part 1. Yeah.
And the M, blah, 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 whatever his name is,
Muschietti or something. Yeah.
Him. He's obviously, is a fan to some degree, which I thought was kind of cool. But just to close off, it's a movie I appreciate more and more when I see it, uncut version. Just the opening credits, intercut with Alice and Dan, which was a stunt double, a cock double or a sex double, whatever you want to call it. Making love, the shower scene. I liked it a lot. That creeped me out as a kid, because I had a similar shower in my downstairs bathroom, and that messed with me. But so when I was a kid, I remember that made me uncomfortable. Nothing else except for like the fact that the door could shut and I could flood up. I'm a kid, so I don't really understand that ceilings exist. Yeah, there's just a lot to love. So, my man, by the way, nice shirt.
Yeah, I got this. I think I worked at Comic-Con a year or two ago, and I was looking for just like a casual horror shirt to do on camera, and I got this, man. I like it because it's I'm big on any time I'm representing where you only know it if you know it. Like, I would never wear something that says like, I mean, I would, but Nightmare on Elm Street 5, where it's like, yeah, but I prefer it's just to have the cover and have somebody be like, Freddy 5, but fuck yeah, man.
Respect.
And you're doing Nightmare on Elm Street.
Generic Freddy shirt.
Well, that's from what, 1 or
actually, I think that's Guys and Dolls. Which one is this from? It looks like 4 to me, to be honest, but it might be 3. I think it's 4. Look, before we get into negatives, I know all of you probably thought we'd let go of the drink section. No, we have not. We went to VidCon and learned about YouTube shows, and it seems that we take too long to get into the meat of things. So we are putting the drink section right fucking here.
Water, because it's sober August for me. Kind of sober. Yeah, it is what it is. I'm having my, I don't know if you've ever been to Elizabeth's restaurant. It's in New Orleans. And yes, I'm from the Midwest. I say Orleans. But that's it. Just water, man. It's too late to drink an energy drink, or I'd probably be drinking a Red Bull. What about you? What are you drinking, John?
Rum and Coke. Captain Morgan Spice.
I wish it. Yeah, Coke. Of course. Captain and Coke. That's my old best friend.
Yeah. Well, September is almost there, bro. So, cheers to you, my man.
And then whatever people drink and drink with us.
And thank you for all of you who have been supporting us, having our backs. It's been really fucking hard to keep this channel alive. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, truly appreciate everybody that's sticking by us. So, cheers.
Hello, my friends! Hey!
The bad.
Ladies first.
The kid. First of all, it makes no sense. She has like a baby in her stomach. Why is he showing up as like an 8 or 9-year-old kid in the dream world? able to talk and this and that.
Or
and-
for that reason, so we could actually, it's not a fucking child rolling around. I mean,
Well, how
the
about he
reason
doesn't
why.
fucking show up? How about that?
Yeah, but they need a representation of how is Freddy haunting its dreams. So the child, they have to have the child in there to like sort of segue that.
There was a better way to go about it. You didn't need the kid in there, and it makes, even in a movie like this, in my useless opinion, I say that a lot. It made no sense. He's a fetus. He's like, yeah, whatever, fuck, 3 months old. But he's showing up, hey, Freddy, hey, it makes no sense. And that kid actor, God bless him. I've seen him in other things. I don't remember.
It's Jurassic Park. He was the one that Grant comes up with the raptor claw. It's like gutting his. Yeah.
I hate knocking kids. I feel like, but although now he's a grown up, so you could take it, right, bro? Yeah, no, he didn't do it for me, man. And I'm being polite. He didn't do it for me. Remember that scene where I think Kruger has Alice. I think it's Alice
at the end.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, Kruger, let her go. She's no fun. Let's have some fun." And Freddy goes like this with his claw under his nose. I remember that moment. And then he drops her. And then
which is out of character.
Oh yeah, the nun comes out. Freddy's mom.
Yeah, because Yvonne is doing the side B plot to like do that whole thing.
Yeah. Go unleash, the power is given you, or some shit like that. And then he turns around and says,
"School's out, Kruger."
And blah, he releases like the souls. By the way, funny thing, in the script, it was "fuck you, Kruger," but they wouldn't let an 8-year-old say that.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So
I mean, it's. I listen. I don't mind the kid as much as you do, but I will agree that ending scene with him is very cheesy. Very cheesy.
That's when they go really into fantasy, with the ghost of the mom.
I don't mind that though, but the kid does cheese it up more. Like I will admit, if we remove that part from him, like if they found a way to do it darker, fine. But yeah, you're right. It's like he's talking in a really cheesy voice, and he has the makeup on. It's just like it's not. It doesn't work. Yeah.
Cringe. It's hashtag cringe.
Well, I know we've talked about this off camera. Only being three kills, I think, is very, very weak for the series. I don't mind the kills being as hampered as you do because that's all I've ever seen. I've seen the footage online, but I didn't grow up watching the unrated, so it's always been elusive. It's like Nightmare or Friday the 13th Part 7. I understand those kills are neutered like a motherfucker, but it still is good for me. This is a good example of the bike kill's still cool because it's all I know. The Greta kill's still cool. But that's it. There's only 2 good kills out of 3. And why? Because there are only 3 kills.
Yeah.
There need to be a higher body count. I think that is definitely a very fair critique. And Freddy's makeup is probably my least favorite.
Freddy's makeup, obviously they were trying to communicate after the ending of part 4 that he's depleted of souls.
So that's the reasoning, but I really don't see that in the makeup. I just don't. Like, he has bigger ears. He has like a goofier nose. That is that what depletes you? I'm very confused. He doesn't look like withered. He just looks dumb. Can we at least admit that I think with the negatives we just mentioned, England still gives it. Like, he didn't phone it in. England's never phoned it in. So I at least will say that even if I don't love the attitude as much, he still kind of shows up to work.
I love the "it's a boy" scene. It's a boy. I love that. I can't.
Or he comes out, he's like, his one arm's fucking super long for some reason.
Yeah. Well, just like in part 1. I love that England showed up twice, I think, if I remember correctly, in the quote unquote rape scene of his mother,
Amanda Kruger. Yes,
with all the maniacs. Son of how many thousand is it? 10,000. The son of 10,000.
Oh, is this 1,000 or 100? I don't know, but it's
there's a lot of maniacs.
Yeah.
A lot of maniacs.
It's triple digits. We know it's triple digits. Let's just say that.
And then they focus on Bobby E.
Yeah.
Looking like sinister. And then there's so we know that dude's little swimmers. That was his swimmers that hit the mark.
Let's not forget. It's not like they got her and then the guards saved her and she got pregnant later. They left her over a holiday weekend. Like people had Monday off.
I'm not saying anything because it's sensitive topics. I'm not going to make any.
I'm really just relaying information. Like I just feel like it's a very dark thing for them to kind of casually toss in. It's like, take it off for Memorial Day. It's like,
And then we see him in a dream sequence at a certain point. I don't know if you remember. So that really kind of reemphasizes, like Lisa wakes up with, I think she's in bed with Dan, and then Bing, it's Bobby. And so it kind of reinforces that the dude we saw, which is Robert Englund, is the pops, of Freddy. Nobody's going to call me on Bobby, but okay, I'll keep saying it.
Is that like Dick and Richard? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, Bobby is Robert and E is England. So Bobby E, dog. Abracadabra cracker.
Well, you've been saying Stefan this whole time, and it's Stephen. I just think that's a Canadian thing.
No, it's Stefan, bro.
Is it Stephen King or is it Stephen King?
Stephen.
Same spelling.
Yeah, but different day.
I'll
Different day.
take that win. Don't worry. You have to give it to me. I'll just take it.
All right. Other negatives.
I mean, unless you have any more, I think it's just tied into the quickness of the story, the quickness of the production. There's some cheap looking things, but it makes up for imagination. I'm willing to forgive cheapness because Robert Shea lets Stephen Hopkins play with the tools. So
I didn't like they killed Dan.
Yeah, but
because I like
that's
Dan.
the trend. That's a trend from 3 to 4, 4 to 5.
I know that. I didn't like they killed Kincaid and killed Joey, and the Alien 3 syndrome, I call it. They killed Kincaid, killed Joey, then Kristen finally got it, played by Tuesday Night, who replaced Arquette in part 4. And now Dan is one, Dan and Alice, Lisa Wilcox. I like them. I didn't want Dan to go. I understand it propulses the story forward, and it's a good death. He has the best skill in the fucking movie.
Oh, absolutely. It's a cool scene as a whole.
What does he say? Don't dream and drive.
Yeah, because then he gets knocked into the pool. He's all messed up. That's the part of the dream that he gets back. And I like it.
The bike scene. We didn't mention it before. Like I said, we're all over the place. It's very Geiger-esque.
Yes.
In terms of, design, concept, whatnot.
I wrote in my my review for Joe Blow Horror, I said it was a Geiger-esque type of transformation that ends up looking like an Iron Maiden cover.
And that's a compliment, man. Up the irons, bro. So
no, I have no issues with the Iron Maiden.
As you should not. Music, bro. We didn't talk about the music.
I like the score, but I don't have much to say about anything. Do you have more?
It kind of fits with the tone of the film. It's very gothic, I don't even have a word for it. It's very unlike the scores in the other ones. Dare I say, a pinch operatic. There's a couple songs in the movie. One from Samantha Fox. You remember Samantha Fox?
There's. I'm just gonna stop you. There's no good music in this movie outside the score.
Do you remember Samantha Fox?
I don't know if that's a person or a band. I don't know. What are we talking about, buddy?
Samantha Fox was like this singer who had huge cans, and that was her claim to fame. She did that song, "Touch Me, Touch Me, I Want to Feel Your Body." It was a huge hit in the 80s, bro. Anyway, she was kind of like
Christy Canyon only could sing.
That made it because she had huge cans. And you know those pins that were square that, with like heavy metal posters and shit that you put on leather jackets in the 80s? You guys indulge?
I'm the wrong person, buddy.
Older than this motherfucker. Do you remember those pins? They were square, and you'd have a picture of Iron Maiden, Wasp, Dawkins, whatever, and there was Samantha Fox pins that I would put on my, and I had all of them, man. I have a jar to this day filled with all the pins of Samantha Fox. So
I love what you love, but she sings a shitty song in this. Is that what this is going towards?
Yes, she does. Yes.
All right.
And Wasp has a song too. And Wasp, Wasp, right? The band.
I think it was with you and Chris Margettis in episode where the guy comes back as a rocker. I can't think of the name of the movie right now. Trick or Treat. And I was very clear that I think Wasp is pretty lame. There should be no surprise. I'm surprised you're even thinking it's a surprise.
Fuck Like a Beast, no? Not a fan? That's a song, by the way, by Wasp. Fuck Like a Beast. No?
Okay. Maybe I'll like one, maybe, but probably not. Probably not.
All right, moving on. I'm wasting my time here. How about we go to voicemails, bro?
Yes. So, again, guys, as I mentioned being the show, and I'll mention now, it'll be below me. Give us a call. You want to chat, recommendations, anything you want to talk about. This is fun for John and I. It actually keeps us more engaged. It keeps me young as I grow old. This one is from Robert.
Hello, guys. Just calling back again. I mentioned I Come in Peace. I just finished watching a movie with Eric Red. You mentioned it in your podcast called Body Parts. Just want to know what you think of it. I saw it, I loved it, and I want to know what you think.
Well, I'll let you take it, man. Go for it.
So it's funny. I knew this movie growing up because Body Parts had a very particular cover, and I always thought it was cool. But for some reason, I don't know if I never rented it or maybe something happened. It was out. I was going to get it if something was out a couple times. I was like, I'm not going to touch it. Eric Red did an interview for you, and I edited the video. And I remember he talked about a couple movies that I never saw, Conan Tate being one of them, and Body Parts. I was like, I should give Body Parts finally a watch. Dude, best decision I've ever made, because in the edit that I did for the interview, he talks about how the stuntman almost killed himself in the car crash at the beginning. One of the cool scenes in practical history. I love myself, Jeff Fahey, Brad Dourif. I mean, it's a cool movie.
No, you nailed it. I love Body Parts. I love Eric Red. I love his work. Actually, it's through his work that I sought him out, and we eventually, he's one of my bestest friends. Body Parts is half Hitchcock. And then by the time you realize, I don't want to, well, if you haven't seen it yet, shame on you. So
it's old. I mean, at this point, I don't feel bad.
By the time you realize it's the dude killing peeps that have his limbs, and he's walking around with his fucking limbs, then he becomes like, and I'm going to use a very pretentious term, grand guignol. Grand guignol is a French term that basically very extreme, very outlandish. So at first it's almost like a suspense film, and then it becomes totally out there, guy with the limbs, the car chase where they're handcuffed to each other out the window.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
That's insane. And, the gore, and obviously there's an undercurrent parallel with Frankenstein, the Frankenstein monster, the creator, blah, blah,
building
blah.
back together.
So yeah, dude, I love Body Parts. Obviously, Lancey Boy does too. And I want to thank you for calling in, and God bless, bro.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget to call us, and we'll talk more. Until then, John, I will leave you with this. It's always a pleasure. Anytime we get to chat and talk movies.
Definitely. And you know what? Even though we're talking about part 5, if there wasn't a music copyright issue with YouTube, I would end off this episode with Dream Warriors by Dawkins. So being that we can't do that, I will sing it. We're the Dream Warriors, ain't gonna dream no more. Be good, bro. We're the dream.
Welcome to the end screen. Because we have our most popular videos up here, our latest videos over here, our modern reviews up here, and of course, the subscribe button right here, guys. Every little bit counts, and we do appreciate the support. That's kind of hot.